This is Face the State for Sunday, February 21st. We're looking ahead to the State of the Union. That's on Tuesday. And also looking into how maybe you can make some money based on what is said. Maybe it's affordability. How about the Black History Month? It continues, and we are looking at the progress and challenges in that community, and also the impact Jesse Jackson has had on so many. And SCOTUS topples Trump's tariffs. What does it mean for the prices in the store and businesses looking for a payback? Face the State starts now.
CBS 21 News presents Face the State with Joel D. Smith, a look at the issues and politics that shape Pennsylvania.
Well, the talks are continuing in Harrisburg and in D.C. We're talking about money, and today we're joined by Republican Vice Chair of the PA House Appropriations Committee, Jamie Barton. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you, Joel. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Good. I'm looking behind you. I don't know if I see any the sofa cushions of bureaucracy. I guess they've been fleeced by now. Is that right?
There's actually a picture of my wife and I and Governor Shapiro back there, and certainly Abraham Lincoln.
Okay. You know what I'm talking about. Last year, when the budget was really tough, and you eventually found some the sofa cushions of bureaucracy, you shook them out and you found some extra money. Is that how it's going to be this year? Trying to find those last few billions and wherever you can?
Yeah, I mean, that's where we start tomorrow. We start with the budget hearings, and it's a 3-week process of actually meeting with every single part of Governor Shapiro's cabinet and trying to figure out where we can save money. And candidly, it's a lot of work.
It can be, and it was last year, and it went far too long. That's one thing everybody can agree on. Where are we starting this time? Can we say the starting point's a little bit better at least?
Well, we're starting at right $53.26 billion is the proposal. And that's it. The starting point is a proposal. And let's break down where is the biggest pieces. Department of Human Services is the largest portion of the budget, right? And then education comes second. So we're going to spend a full day with Department of Human Services on that part alone. But I think when we talk about specifics, the part of the governor taking the rainy day fund, Joel, is a huge piece, right? We're talking about almost $6.5 billion of the rainy day fund, and we might say, okay, well that's fine, but it's not, because it's not going for any new initiative. It's going to the budget. And deficit spending doesn't work. You know that. It doesn't work in your family household. It doesn't work in your business. And so eventually we're going to have to come up with new taxes. So that piece is a big problem. And I think another portion of that rainy day fund that obviously is not being considered is, why not give it back to the taxpayer? Look, I serve Schuylkill and Berks counties, and I hear regularly in church and phone calls right here in our office, and people stopping in, the things that are going on in their families, their households. People are struggling with everyday things. Young families are looking to get mortgages. There's people trying to get, buying groceries. Senior citizens focused on their fixed budgets, and specifically,
right. Well, and that's what Democrats are saying, though. A lot of the programs they want to help people out with is using some of that money to do it. You're just saying give it to the people, let them directly handle that. What is the right?
Certainly, why give it to Harrisburg bureaucrats? Why give money that we don't have to Harrisburg bureaucrats for programs that don't work instead of giving it back to the people that know what they need? That's my thought.
So you're saying if it's going to have to be taxes as a way to fill in the blank. The governor would say there's other revenue sources out there. Let's address those. These are the same ones we've been talking about for years. Do you see any wiggle room this time when it comes to finally getting across the finish line, regulating those skill games and how much money that could bring in, or
skill games,
regulating marijuana? What do you have?
Right, marijuana, skill games, and minimum wage, I think, is the other big one that the governor's talking about. So let's talk about.
So rank those for me. Which one has the best chance according to you?
Skill games being, because the skill game industry has asked to be regulated, right? They've come out and said, hey, we'd like to be regulated. Unfortunately, with government, pigs get fat and hogs go to slaughter. Yep. Immediately, the government's saying, hey, we're going to tax rate of 52%. And what that does, and again, Berks, Schuylkill County, where I serve, and a lot of smaller communities, these skill games are used in taverns, in VFWs, in places like that to supplement private clubs, to supplement income and revenue for those businesses. So if we tax it too much, it just goes away. That's my concern. So I'm hoping that smarter minds will prevail here.
There's something there, though. Everyone agrees that, regulation at some level has to be there. We know that the casinos say
the
it's
industry
unfair.
does, right? The industry's asking for it.
Yeah, but it's how much is always the devil in the details. And we know the casinos say that's unfair when you look at how much you tax them already and how that'll play out. Let's get to a big story on Friday, the Supreme Court issuing the ruling on the president's tariffs. Businesses that have been dealing with this. We've all been dealing with the reciprocal tariffs, and the cost at the supermarket has been rough for a lot of people. What do you think should happen next after this ruling?
Well, I think we've got to pay attention to it. What was the tariffs for? What were the tariffs for? It's for an American first economic policy that supports American workers. It supports Pennsylvania workers. So I believe that President Trump put this together so that American workers wouldn't get cheated. And unfortunately, we just don't know what's going to happen yet, Joel. So it's certainly something we're going to have to pay. This is brand new. The President Trump's very upset about it. You and I were just talking about this off camera. They're very, very upset about it. So quite frankly, we're going to have to pay close attention to this, to our workforce here in Pennsylvania.
Well, the thing that you mentioned earlier, letting the people have the money back, maybe that's going to be part of this because, by all accounts, the reciprocal tariffs, the prices at the supermarket, we kind of all paid for that. So is that all going to be coming back to the people and then they can make it up that way? Is it the businesses that have been paying this? There's a lot to work out, and that is not your problem today. So we're not going to put that on you. Final word, go ahead.
It's absolutely an issue that the constituents of all our Commonwealth deals with, and we've got to pay attention to it.
And we are. So thanks for talking about that a little bit today, as well as you're about to get much busier in Harrisburg. Good to have you here, Representative Barton.
So much, Joel.
Yep. Well, this week, people are remembering Reverend Jesse Jackson. We're taking a closer look at that as well. And also, can you make money, you at home, betting on the State of the Union address? We're talking about that and definitely these tariffs and what's going to happen next with there. So our insiders standing by next. And welcome back. My next guest is the chairman of the Pennsylvania Legislative Black Caucus, Montgomery County Democratic Representative Napoleon Nelson. Good to have you on the show here.
Absolute pleasure. How are you?
I'm good. So let's get to it. This week, the world lost an iconic leader, Reverend Jesse Jackson. There's so many ways to view his legacy. What first comes to mind for you?
Listen, Reverend Jackson was first and foremost clergy, right? So I really appreciate the fact that he came as a seminarian. He was an amazing, amazing leader, an orator, a true moral conscience, again, for us as a nation and certainly for Black and brown communities throughout this country. But that moral clarity that comes with his theological background is something that I don't want to ever forget.
He was an icon. He was a game changer. How did you look up to him as a political figure?
Yeah. So he was not only one who just, kind of came and spoke to us all and called us to be greater, called us always to continue to push, called us always to understand that we are really one large community. But he also spoke to us to make sure that I keep saying moral clarity, but it's so critical. In fact, when I first saw him the first time, I was young. I was about 5 or 6 years old, and he came to my church in Mount Airy, Summit Church, during his '84 presidential campaign.
Okay.
And for me, seeing a Black man coming to what felt like a small local church in Mount Airy who was running for president. It stuck with me then, and as I continued to grow up, as I continued to understand more about the political space, as I continued to understand how unique that would be to have a man come to our church who is running for president and speak to us in that way. It always said, never lose sight of where you're coming from, and those communities that raised you.
Yeah, well, even for me, I mean, I was barely following politics. I was pretty young in '84 and '88, but seeing him run, in a sense, normalized it. Okay, now the next time we see a Black candidate on a big stage, it's not a big deal anymore, or at least less of one as we move forward. And a lot of people have made that correlation that, he broke the seal to where Obama was able to break all the way through.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's some, that's the way we would romanticize it now.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. Certainly. There were many more seals that were left to be broken. But I think just the proportional delegation that we got out of conventions after his election or after his races was critical.
Yep.
But there were so many that continued to stand on shoulders, and I think that is so much the history of America and the history of all of our communities. As this still being the tail end of Black History Month, we are always and must always remember those shoulders that we are blessed to be able to stand on and continue to push beyond. So,
certainly,
yes, President Obama was able to stand on the shoulders of a Jesse Jackson. He was able to continue to walk arm in arm with the John Lewises, with the Al Sharptons. He was able to continue to preach that was this vision for America that Martin Luther King had helped to explain to us all. We are never going to get where we are supposed to be if we don't understand who tried that path before us.
So you bring up history, and that brings us to our next topic, the controversial exhibit on the history of slavery at the President's House in Philadelphia. The most recent ruling, it's to be reinstalled again. They're going to look into this. I'm sure it'll be appealed as well. Supporters say they want the full picture told of what was happening at that house. The presidents were there, Washington and Adams. They did bring some slaves from the South where they were from. That is a fact. The governor says we can't erase our history, have to acknowledge it. The Trump administration says the display emphasized slave ownership too much compared to the accomplishments of the country of those presidents. Where's the right place on this? Can we do both? Can we acknowledge everything about that time period and everything that those presidents meant to the country?
Understand, I mean, and maybe I do. I don't understand how being able to tell the story of presidents and the slaves that they had, the legacy of slavery. It's hard for me to continue to explain how that is not an important part of our American story, and how we are thinking that we can go arm in arm forward if we don't understand where we have been. It is incomprehensible. because I understand as an African American man, as a black lawmaker, as a descendant of descendants of slaves, that this and my American story and my love for this nation has been born out of all of these many things. Just great men like, as we just discussed, Reverend Jackson, Reverend Dr. King, great men like Octavius Cato, great, men who have been in this nation and who have struggled, and who have fought and died. Members of my family in the services. This is a part of our American story, and I don't understand why we can't celebrate that as well. If you don't understand how hard it has been for us to get in these last 250 years, these last 401 years, I don't know if you don't understand that portion of our history, then perhaps you're celebrating something different. And the America that you're celebrating, if we don't tell those hard parts, really isn't as much worth celebrating, because if your American history is that easy, then I guess you get to have a party. But if my American celebration has been born through so many of these strikes, so many of these hardships, and we've come through so much bloodshed and toil, and I am still here celebrating this nation 250 years in, just imagine how much I feel that my history is a part of my presence, and my presence
and
will
I think what you're saying is you can acknowledge the past and celebrate how far we've come from those moments. And it can all be a part of the American story where we are now. Hey, we got about a minute left. Let's get to something here. The House Communications and Technology Committee, it is a long report, almost 400 pages, talking about artificial intelligence, where we are, where we're going, and what we have to watch out for. Like I said, only about a minute left. What's the most important thing coming out of that you want people to know?
Artificial intelligence is coming. It is certainly here today. But what we're seeing now from a technological perspective is a shadow of what it's going to be. So our job is to not only try and provide those guardrails for how we're implementing AI in our communities now, but I always want to make sure we're thinking about what it's going to be and the promise really of what this is and the perils that we ought to be very wide-eyed that bring with it.
Gotcha. And it says it's going to be reviewed every 3 to 5 years. It almost has to be every 3 to 5 months. I'm telling you, this stuff goes so fast. So did this interview. It went way too fast. I hope we can have you back on again. So good to have you on.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you. The CBS 21 political insiders are standing by. Some big political moments this week, including that big political loss for the president. What will it mean now that the tariffs are gone? And does he have a plan to work around it? We're talking about all that and more coming up. He sounded mad.
A little lemon twist.
Mic check.
Lepore, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
I make it myself. He's good.
Dr. Jerome, 10, 9,
Hey.
7, 6, 5, 4.
Did you get a doctorate?
What's it?
You have a doctorate?
Of course.
Honorary?
No, JD.
That's right.
Oh, you need to talk like a man, doctor. Come on, let's go. No whispering here. Go for it.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Much better.
Almost as good as 10.
That's right. I'll take
I mean, I can't move it up any higher.
What, a chair?
No, your microphone.
All right, I will speak like this. I will pretend I'm just yelling at Tony the entire show.
They say like that.
Much better television.
Yes.
From the
diaphragm, yes. I like it better when he's not yelling. You know what I mean?
My favorite time of the week, everybody. Our CBS 21 political insiders, Democratic strategist Tony Lepore is over here, Republican strategist Charlie Giroux The smiles that we see here not happening from the president. My goodness, on Friday, he just went after anybody, the media, the Supreme Court justices, and it's all about that decision that it was from the SCOTUS to topple his tariffs. He says there's a workaround. He's going to still do this. It's important. What do you think is going to really happen here?
Well, I think the real question is going to be, is there going to be a quote-unquote mess, as one of the justices suggested, when folks come after refunds for the tariffs that were shot down? I think it's important to note that not all the tariffs were shot down, simply those that were promulgated under the Emergency Powers Act.
Do you have a feel for how many that is compared to how many it's not?
It's a good portion of them.
Yeah.
But as the president suggested today, he will now invoke his ability to put a 10% across-the-board tariff on top of those that are already in place.
There's also a Section 122 out there where he can do 15% for 150 days, so it's kind of a limited action there. The fallout, let's deal with that.
Yeah, this is an epic fail for the White House. And he not only based his entire economic program on this, but he held a hammer over all these countries across the globe with this tariff. So now that's gone. And he has billions of dollars. What's he going to do with? Each and every American is owed about $1,600, $1,700 a year because of these tariffs. What's he going to do? How's he pay them back? How's he pay these small businesses back?
People hear that, and I know at your home thinking, like, wait a second, do I get that tariff stimmy? Where's that money? Do you think there's any chance that it actually comes back to the American people in the form of those cards?
Well, some folks are going to ask for refunds, but those are the importers, not the end users. I think that's important.
Oh, it did get passed along to the people in some
it does.
fashion.
I mean, that's one of the reasons that folks like myself have not been big advocates of the extent to which tariffs were used, that see them much more useful as leverage than as actuality.
Well, let's see what's going to happen here. So Stephen Colbert, he tried to have on James Tallarico. He's a representative running for Congress in Texas. He was told he couldn't do that from CBS because it's the fair, what was it called? The equal time law, yes. Yeah, so you would have had to have on the Republican or maybe the other person running against him in the primary. The reason we're showing you Josh Shapiro here is he was recently on. So some people are saying, wait a second, does Stacey Garrity get to go on now? Well, that's a different ball game here. So let's talk about what's really happening in this scenario.
Well, first of all, I'm sad to see it, but frankly, because the governor wasn't actually a true candidate yet. You're not a candidate till you circulate petitions.
The timing was perfect.
Period.
Yes.
You know, so that's first and foremost. He wasn't a candidate till he circulates petitions.
So Stacey, you're not going to be on.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I'm not so sure that Mr. Lepore's legal definition there is correct, particularly when you're an announced candidate for re-election.
Well, he wasn't a technical candidate. I think they're working their way around that. But the overall ruling from CBS and saying they couldn't do it, he puts it on anyway. It's been good for James Tallarico. He has raised more than $2.5 million since he was, shunned to the side here. So
yeah, there's benefit to everything.
Yes,
that's the best thing that ever happened to Tallarico. Period.
Now no one knew that name, and now they all do. The Amish vote. We heard this week that Elizabethtown College looked into it. It was very negligible. They said maybe 300 or 400 votes more in Lancaster County. We had heard from folks like Scott Pressler that they had registered so many more in the thousands and thousands. What's the truth here, and is it really an important facet of the vote for the Republicans moving forward?
Well, it's kind of fascinating that people fixate on it. My sense is that the Elizabethtown College study is much more accurate than the claims of somebody from out of state.
Well, he was here. He became a citizen for a while, and he had these big numbers. People were talking a big game about it.
I'm in agreement with Charlie. I mean, E-Town is on the ground every day versus Pressler, who sort of blew in for a little bit and then blew out again.
Yeah, well, we've reached out to him to see what he thinks about the numbers. Haven't heard back yet on that. Let's talk about the Dauphin County Commissioner. That is Justin Douglas. Got a bit of a boost for his campaign. He's running for Congress, so he's got a primary. He's going to go against Janelle Stelson, and yet he's getting one candidate ending his campaign supporting Douglas. Will this matter?
Well, I mean, it helps to an extent, but it always helps. And there's a race. He is an elected official, a countywide elected official. He's got a long way to go to catch up for the name recognition of the
What would you tell him when he is? Yeah, he's a county official. He gets on TV a lot. Yeah. He's kind of done really well for himself since he got into politics. But he's not the endorsed candidate for the 10th seat, which is Janelle Stelson.
He's the candidate, interestingly, who actually lives in the district, which is...
She's got a place.
She has a place. The question, of course, is does she actually live there? And the answer is no, and hasn't for years. And you got to kind of wonder why somebody seeking to be a representative of a district has such disdain for it that they don't want to live there.
She says that she lives here now and she's got a place. So I've got to push back a little bit on that.
Well, you can push back all you want. It's a question of fact. She rents an apartment in the district.
Right.
Yes, but she owns a home outside of the district, and that's where she lives.
Okay. We're going to ask her next time we see her.
Yeah.
Let's see your place. You living there? What's going on?
I mean, this happens all the time. I think we'd be naive to think otherwise.
It doesn't happen all the time.
Oh, it most certainly does.
Well, give me another example.
Well, people criticize Dave McCormick for not living in Pennsylvania, but he had a place in Pennsylvania.
Right out of my mouth.
He clearly lives in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question.
Now he does, but when he was running,
that was brought up when he was running.
Did. I was at his residence.
I'm just saying that people can have different residences. I think it's okay. I want to see the place too. I want it to be as transparent as possible, so that could be off the table, but it's not because she hasn't made it transparent enough, so it's an easy thing for people to talk about. That's it. What's not easy to talk about? Gambling when it comes to words, and that is something we're going to talk about next, so hold your tongue until then.